Hello, it's Shahar. Welcome back to my channel, To The Witchy Reader. So I'm going to be talking about my March, April, and May reading wrap-up because I have not been making wrap-ups videos. I'm going to try to stay on top of that now. But, so I am going to, and I read A Mockingjay. I've been trying to read the Hunger Games books. I read the trilogy for the only once in my life, and I'm pretty sure I was at least in elementary school, maybe middle school when I actually read them. And I decided to reread them since I told you I only read them once, as well as watch the movies. Or yeah, well, I was watching the movies too because I was showing them to my mom and sister who's never seen them. We watched the first three, and then we actually were in the middle of the fourth one, the one about snow, and then we stopped for some reason. I don't remember why, but then we lost Hulu and Disney, and then for a bit, and that's where it was. So we haven't able to get it back, and we just got that back over the weekend. So I might, or actually it was last week. So we will probably finish that movie soon, and then in time for the fifth movie. I haven't actually read the fourth book yet. I know I usually read the book before I watch the movie, but since we're already in this movie and I haven't been able to get my hands on the fourth book, we decided to just go ahead and watch the fourth movie. And yeah, so I am a PETA stan, just for anyone who didn't know, and I feel like everyone should be. And then I read Of the Past by Sophie, and I really enjoyed that book. It was really interesting. Most of these I read several indie books, and most of them were ebooks or audiobooks like KU sort of thing, and then one audiobook or two audiobooks. So yeah, and some physical books that I read. But Of the Past was really good. I rated it 5 stars, reviewed it, definitely highly recommend it. So definitely check that out. Then I also read Crooked Kingdom, which was a reread. This would have been beginning March, and I was reading it because it was my choice for the book club. And yeah, so because my mom and I started a book club, which my aunt has officially joined. So yeah, and I love this book. This is my first time reading these copies because last Christmas, I don't have these copies anymore. Unfortunately, I lost them. We move a lot. Plus, it was a house fire, so I'm pretty sure they survived the house fire. But then we had all of our stuff in storage, and then I just couldn't find them after that. These were definitely one book that I wanted to get again. My um my mom and I have this rule where she doesn't give me books. She'll give me money to buy books because I'm very particular with my books, and I don't want her to give me a book that I will end up not really liking, or like maybe not the first in a series if I don't own the series. And yeah, but she didn't. But my sister didn't know what to get me, and my mom did know that the one book that she knew I loved, that she knew I wanted again, was Six of Crows. So my sister ended up buying both of them in a 2-pack for Christmas, last Christmas. So on January for my pick of the month, because I definitely wanted to reread Six of Crows since it's been a minute since I haven't owned it for a bit. Was Six of Crows, and then February was her pick, and then March was my pick in, and I had to follow that up with Crooked Kingdom. So here we are, and I obviously tabbed it. I absolutely love these books. They're one of my favorites, absolute favorites. Obsessed with the Six of Crows. Yeah. So I read that, and then I read the Orc series, another indie book by Michelle Franklin. And as the Orc Crusade Easter, the Orc Crusade Thanksgiving, the Orc Crusade Christmas, and the Orc Crusade Valentine's Day. I thought these were really interesting. It was a nice way to really learn about like the Orcs cultures and what they do for these holidays, and how they all like intertwine with each other, and how the Orc was able to save these holidays. And I just thought they were short stories, and I just thought they were fascinating and so well written. So definitely check that out. And then this is another reread that I haven't read in a while because, like I said, until recently we moved into this house, my books have been in storage, so I haven't been able to reread. That's why I'm currently rereading a lot of the old books that I love and haven't read in a while. Um, This month is Pride Month though, so the only book I'm rereading is Sapphic one because it's the only one I own. That is Sapphic. Well, actually, that's not true. I have several queer books, but this is the only one rereading. The only one I'm rereading on the list. The other queer books are books I want to read for the first time that I haven't read yet. That's been on my TBR for like ever. But anyways, this is the Skinjacker trilogy. Ever Lost, Ever Wild, and Ever Found. I absolutely love this trilogy. Over the course of the last 3 months, I read all 3 books. I was reading other books as well, so it took me a little bit to get through all 3 of them. But I absolutely love this trilogy. It is not talked about enough. It is so good. Okay, basically, Allie and Nick, they don't know each other, but in the very first chapter, they were in 2 separate cars, and the cars collided, and boom, they're dead. They're in Everlost, which is just like our world, but they're spirits. And it has really cool world building because you have to, for spirits to be able to walk. They can't just walk on the ground, or they could sink to the bottom of the earth. They can only walk on sturdy ground when it's a dead zone, which means somebody died or a tragedy sort of thing happened in that area that made them be able to walk there. And it's really interesting because sometimes it's like what happened here, like when there's really big dead zones, it's like wow, what happened here. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, it's kind of tragic, but it's really interesting because when they meet Mary Hightower, one of my most hated book characters of all time. I despise this woman for a lot of reasons. Moving on. I'm not gonna get to my hatred for her because that will be a whole other blown thing. And I'm pretty sure one of my early videos of this channel was reviewing this series, by the way. So if you guys want to check that out, it's under my books review playlist, probably at the very bottom because, like I said, this was an early part of my channel. I love this series for a long time, and but when they meet her and they find her little sanctuary, I don't know what else to call it. It was as where the towers fell, and I think that was really interesting to incorporate that, and because that was a huge dead zone because a lot of people died in that area, so that was like a huge area where they could all just be free and be able to roam wherever they wanted in that area, and yeah. But it's really good. There's a lot of twists and turns. I know there's a huge twist regarding Allie. There's also this enemies to lovers side plot thing that goes on with Allie as well. Nick also has this fascinating story with Mary. And I also love Nick and Allie's friendship. They have this like platonic soulmate thing because they also died and entered Everlost together. So they, at the end of the day, end up being connected. It was in a completely platonic way. Obviously, they both have relations with other people, but I just love their friendship and what they mean to each other. They almost became like a brother-sister duo, and they would do anything for each other. And yeah, it was just really cool. And there's other characters you meet that end up becoming really fascinating as well. So definitely highly recommend this trilogy. Nobody talks about this, and it makes me sad. And then what else did I read? I read it's called Salem, The Witches Salem 1962. It's about the Salem witch trials. This was my mom's pick of April, and it's more of a reads as a documentary, not entirely my thing usually, but I thought it was interesting. And some of the facts were really interesting. I'm not gonna go too heavily into that one though because we have a book club video. I just filmed it. I know it's really late, but there was issues, personal family stuff. So we just filmed that today. So it's gonna be out probably after I post my TBR wrap up stuff. So you'll probably be able to find it very soon. Probably tomorrow. I want to get all my videos up and running. So yeah, and into that because we discuss it in great detail. So yeah. And then I read, so this one was interesting. I read the Warrior series. I'm still trying to catch up. I'm very behind. It is on my goal to catch up. So I'm trying. But I read the Medicine Cat Guide and her Herbalist. And I thought that was really interesting to learn more about the medicine cats and the kind of herbs they use. I was bored one day, and I saw that on KU, and I was like, huh, I'm gonna check it out just for the hell of it. Then I read some Monster High books. I read Monster High: The Only Guy, which is kind of a comic book. It was kind of interesting. Then I read Monster High, the new Scaremaster issues 1 to 7, and those were really good. I'm not the biggest comic book fan, but if I like something enough, I might check it out. Like, I know I'm not a big fan of manga, but my favorite of all time book series, Seekers by Aaron Hunter, has 2 mangas. One that's to do with Kalik and one that's to do with Tokyo, both fascinating characters. And Kalik is also my favorite character. So I read those just because I love Seekers so much. And then also I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So I read the comics regarding those. I haven't finished the comics. Avatar, I think there's still a couple comics I have not read yet. I know I haven't read the one with Suki in prison. And I think there might be one about Azula and one about Toph that I haven't read yet. So I'll have to check those out and see if I can find them. But yeah. So I'm not a big fan of manga or comics, but if it has to do with something I already love, I might check it out just because I'm interested in the thing, and that's what I did here because I'm a huge Monster High fan. So I found some comics. And I was like, you know what, I have to check these out. And some of them were really cool. Well, my favorite was actually a queer one, which I was not expecting. Which I heard about this couple, but I was like, I don't know. I've never seen this couple. They're not in the webisodes. They're not. So I was like, where does this couple come in? Apparently in comics. There's also a whole other like 2-part comic that has to do with just the two of them that I'm very interested in reading. Unfortunately, they were not on KU, so I'm gonna have to try to find them somewhere else. But I'm very much interested in reading them because they were so cute in this comic, and it's a Valentine of all people with Spelladon. Because Valentine has a redemption arc, which is funny because in the movie White Equals Fall in Love, I despise the man. He's flat out evil, and it's really my only problem. I will say is don't get me wrong. I don't think everyone can be redeemed, and don't get me wrong. When I watch the movie, I don't necessarily think Valentine can be redeemed because he's arrogant and he is a lot of things. But I like the idea of him being redeemed. But my only problem was that I don't think we got to see him being redeemed. That's my only issue. I feel like we need a comic in between the Monster High movie as well as this comic where he falls for Spelladon, because in the beginning of the comic he's trying to get to Draculaura because he wants to apologize and try to be friends with her because he hurts her a lot. He tried to kill her, kind of. It's his whole thing. So he was trying to, make it up to her and be a friend, I guess. And she kept brushing him off because she has a lot going on in her personal life. And also, he did, kind of try to murder her. So, if she didn't want to be friends with him, that would be understandable. But that's also not Draculaura. She's very kind. So she was like, in the end, she was like, yeah, I forgive you. And that was sweet. Like I said, my only issue is that I feel like there should have been a, more of a showing his redemption, because if we go off the end of White Equals Fall in Love movie, he gets kicked out of the birthday party after after he fell into that, whatever it was. I don't even remember. It's been a minute since I've watched the movie, even though it's one of my favorite Monster High movies. And because his power no longer worked. His power was being all handsome and charming, and now that he fell into this, it kind of wrecked his persona, and he kind of lost his ability to hypnotize people, I guess. And he was very upset about that, and then he gets kicked out of Draculaura's birthday party, and he didn't show any remorse. He didn't seem sad about the fact that he what he did or anything. And I'm just like, I love the ship of Valentine and Spelladon. They were so cute in this comic, and I really want to read the other ones that have to do with the two of them. But I also am like, but for me to fully be on board with, not the ship itself, because the ship I like regardless, but with him as a character, I feel like I need to see his redemption. Like I said, I don't think every character needs to be redeemed, and but when a redemption does happen, first of all, for me personally, I feel like it can be hard to make it work because one, the character has to be worthy of redemption, because there's some characters that are so evil where I'm like, there's no way this character can be redeemed. But then you also have to showcase it. He has to show remorse. He has to get to a point where he's like, oh my gosh, I did this terrible thing. I almost hurt this person. I need to make it right. I just didn't see any of that, okay? So that's my only grievance, is that I feel like we should have seen him be more upset. I don't know if there's another comic that I'm missing, so if there is, somebody please let me know. But I just feel like there should be more of a, I'm sorry, I can't believe I did this, and trying and figuring out what he did wrong. Because like I said, I just feel like it was a bit of a whiplash, because we got from Why Do Ghosts Fall in Love, where he was this arrogant piece of crap who didn't care that he tried to destroy Draculaura, and then boom, I'm sorry, Draculaura, I would love to be your friend. I'm like, how did we get from point A to point B? That's all I want to know. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this. But all that aside, I do love the Valentine and Spelldawn ship. I thought they were really cute. They went on this cute little adventure, and I felt like they complemented each other, and they were exactly what each other need. And I thought it was adorable. And I'm excited for the other ones, because I know, I think there's actually more than just two. I think there's like, there might even be up to 4 or 5, I think. It's called the Bermuda Triangle, I think. It has something to do with that, so I'm very interested. And like I said, I thought they were really cute. So, and then there are other comics that I really enjoyed. I know there was one where I guess some Draculaura's dad died, which is Dracula, which was insane. And so now she has to like take over all his responsibilities. So now she is kind of estranged from her friends because she's kind of doing all this stuff, and they haven't seen her in a bit. And yeah, so that was really interesting. There was a couple that was like, one that I didn't personally like, was one that had to do with Frankie and Johnny Spirit. And why I didn't like that was because first of all, Frankie has a lot of different love interests throughout the OG movies, and out of all the love interests, Nathan, who was from Freaky Fusion, was by far the best when it comes to the relationship with Frankie. Not like the best character, though Nathan was pretty cool. But I guess my issue was that Johnny I really liked with Operetta. Two of them end up getting together in the webisodes, and the name shows them they're like dating in Haunted. And I really like them. I feel like they are perfect for each other. She was like the only one not scared of him, and he tried to intimidate her, and then they both had this music battle, which was adorable. And then when you see them, because that's all them getting to know each other, then when you see them in Haunted, they're so cute together. Like when the ghost tries to take them to the ghost world, and a chain wraps around Operetta, and then he's like, "I'm coming, baby!" And then when they're in the ghost world in Operetta, which I feel like is a little bit out of character for her to say this, just because she is, well, Operetta. But she's like, "I'm scared, Johnny," and he's like, "I've got you, baby," or something like that. And I just thought they were so cute, and I absolutely loved them. And I was so upset that because this has been Johnny and Frankie having this little like thing, and I'm like, no, not happening. But yeah, but for the most part, I had fun reading these stories. So that was a bigger rant than I meant. Then I read Dragon Marsh by Barbara Lieberman, and this was also really good. I already reviewed it and rated it 5 stars. I have not done my review on here yet. I'm a little bit behind on reviews for indie books, so I'm going to be filming those next week, I'm hoping. But I really enjoyed this book. It was so interesting, the history and the legacy of this girl and her family. Remy, she goes to the Dragon Marsh for because she was getting into some trouble, and she starts to learn about her own legacy, her own family, and her own abilities, and learning about the dragons and the magic was so cool. And this one dude started off a little bit creepy, but low-key kind of chill, and I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was so good, so interesting, so fascinating. I definitely highly recommend checking that out. And then last book I read, which was my Aunt Lori's pick of the month last month, A Lethal Legacy. It was more of a mystery, and basically a girl and who's like a criminal psychologist, and then her boyfriend who's an FBI agent. He gets a call from his cousin saying that his friend and business partner died. So the two of them fly out, and they start inspecting, and it looks like Even though it on the surface level it looks like he just fell off a cliff, he got too close to the edge, blah blah blah. They start expecting it and realizing maybe not, maybe it was more than that, and it might be foul play. And they keep digging up bones after bones, so it seems like something's been happening for a while around here, and it's really interesting. Um, so definitely check that out. That was kind of interesting as well. I thought the couple was kind of cute as well. But yeah, so those were my reads for the last 3 months. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment what you read, and I'll try to get below in the comments. Until next time.